At the edge of known space where the stars thinned and silence grew thick, floated Ceres Station. It was not a place for tourists or dreamers. It was a forge. Every year the galaxy's toughest species sent their young warriors there to train, to bleed, and sometimes to break. Humans had only been allowed inside for 3 cycles. Most of the other cadets still saw them as soft, loud, and untested. Among the humans, Lily Tran stood out, not because she was the strongest or the fastest, but because she never quit, even when her body screamed to stop. The Academy's main drill deck stretched longer than 3 city blocks, its walls lined with energy dampeners and holographic projectors. Today's exercise was live fire evasion. Cadets had to cross the field while automated turrets fired stun rounds calibrated to mimic plasma bolts. Fail and you woke up in medbay with burns and shame. Pass and you earned a mark on your record. Lily had failed twice already. She crouched behind a shattered barricade, breathing hard. Sweat clung to her brow and her uniform was torn at the shoulder. Around her, other cadets moved like shadows. Graceful, silent, sure. The Virelians flowed like liquid. The Crothan brutes charged through fire like it was mist. Even the small, four-armed Zenthai darted between shots with eerie precision. But Lily, she hesitated, always that half-second too slow. From the observation balcony high above, Commander Alara Voss watched. She stood tall, her silver skin catching the cold light of the station's artificial sun. Her ears tapered to fine points and her eyes, pale as moonstone, missed nothing. She wore no armor, only a dark, form-fitting suit marked with the sigils of the Veiled Dominion. Beside her, coiled on a reinforced perch, rested Kalen. The dragon was no larger than a ground transport, but his presence filled the room. His scales shimmered like black glass and his breath curled in slow, warm streams. He blinked once, his golden eyes fixed on Lily. Lara's voice cut through the comms, sharp and clear. Cadet Tran again. Lily flinched but obeyed. She rose, pulse blade humming in her grip, and sprinted across the open zone. The turrets whirred to life. Red beams sliced the air. She rolled, twisted, ducked, but a shot clipped her thigh. She cried out, stumbling, then forced herself up. Another beam grazed her arm. Smoke rose from her sleeve. Still she ran. She reached the far end, collapsing against the exit wall. The field powered down. Silence returned, heavy and judgmental. Alara descended the stairs without a word. Her boots clicked against the metal floor like a countdown. Cadets nearby stepped back, giving her space. She stopped in front of Lily, who struggled to stand straight. "You moved like a frightened fawn," Alara said, her voice low but carrying. "You looked back. You doubted. In real combat, that doubt kills not just you, but your squad, your ship, your world." Lily kept her eyes forward. "I was adjusting my stance, Commander." "Adjusting?" Alara's lip curled slightly. "You froze. Humans talk too much about courage. Show me one act that proves you have it." A murmur rippled through the onlookers. No one spoke back to Alara Voss, not unless they wanted to be reassigned to waste recycling duty for a month. Lily swallowed, her throat dry. Then she said, "Let me run the Obsidian Arena." The words landed like a dropped bomb. The Obsidian Arena was not a training ground. It was a relic from the Dominion's ancient wars. A circular chamber buried deep in the station's core, shielded by gravitic fields and lined with real weapons. Cadets only entered it during final trials, and they never entered alone. Never against a live opponent. Alara studied her. "You know what waits in there." "I do," Lily said. "And you still ask?" "Yes," Alara turned slightly. "You understand that failure in the arena is not measured in bruises. It is measured in bones, in silence." "I understand." For a long moment, Alara said nothing. Then she nodded once. "Very well. Tomorrow at dawn cycle, you will face Kalen." Gasps rose from the crowd. Even the stoic Virelians exchanged glances. Kalen was no drill partner. He was a war beast, bonded to Alara since she was a child. He had fought in the Ash Wars, the Void Skirmishes, the Siege of Zenth Prime. No cadet had ever lasted more than 3 minutes against him in simulation. In reality, none had dared try. Lily's stomach twisted, but she gave a short bow. "Thank you, Commander." That night, Lily did not sleep. She sat in her narrow bunk, tracing the edge of a small, smooth shard tucked in her palm. It was pale blue, veined with silver, part of an eggshell her grandmother had found decades ago on a dead moon near Proxima. The old woman had spent her life studying alien myths, especially those about dragon-kin bonds. She believed humans once shared a pact with beings like Kalen, a pact broken by fear and greed. Lily had grown up hearing those stories. She never thought they'd matter. Until now. At dawn cycle, the station dimmed its lights in ritual respect. Cadets gathered in the upper galleries of the obsidian arena, whispering behind gloved hands. The chamber below was smooth and black, its floor etched with glowing runes that pulsed faintly. In the center stood Lily, alone, wearing only light combat gear and her grandmother's pendant, a tiny dragon carved from bone. Then the far gate opened. Kalen entered slowly, his claws clicking against the stone. Steam rose from his nostrils. His wings, folded tight against his back, gleamed like polished obsidian. His eyes locked onto Lily. He did not roar. He did not charge. He simply watched, as if deciding whether she was worth his breath. Alara stood in the command box, arms crossed, face unreadable. The arena's voice announced, "Begin." Lily did not move right away. She took a breath, then another, matching the rhythm her grandmother had taught her. A slow, deep pattern meant to calm great beasts. She raised her hands empty and spoke in a soft, steady voice, not in standard galactic, but in an old Earth tongue, one her grandmother claimed was once used in dragon rites. Kalen tilted his head. His tail stopped lashing. The crowd fell utterly silent. Then, without warning, Kalen exhaled, a narrow stream of blue flame that stopped just short of Lily's boots. It was a test, a warning. Lily stepped forward. The dragon growled, low and rumbling, but did not attack. She took another step, and another, until she stood only 3 paces from his snout. She reached out slowly and placed her palm against his scaled jaw. A ripple passed through the galleries. Someone dropped a datapad. It clattered loudly in the stillness. Kalen closed his eyes for a heartbeat. Then he opened them, and something in their glow had changed, from suspicion to something close to recognition. Above, Alara's fingers tightened on the railing. Her breath caught. The trial clock ticked past 3 minutes, then 5, then 10. Finally, Lily stepped back. Kalen lowered his head once, as if bowing, then turned and walked calmly back through the gate. The arena declared, "Trial complete. Result unresolved." No one cheered. No one spoke. They simply stared at Lily, who stood small and human in the center of a legend. Alara descended the stairs again, slower this time. When she reached Lily, she did not scold. She did not praise. She only said, "You knew the song." Lily nodded. "My grandmother believed humans once walked beside dragons. Not as masters, not as pets, as partners." Alara looked toward the gate where Kalen had vanished. "That bond was broken long ago. By your kind. Not all of us," Lily said softly. Alara studied her for a long moment. Then she turned and walked away, her cloak whispering against the stone. But before she disappeared into the shadows, she paused and said just loud enough for Lily to hear, "We will speak again." And for the first time since arriving at Ceres Station, Lily Tran felt not like an outsider, but like someone who might finally belong. After the trial, silence followed Lily like a second shadow. Cadets who once ignored her now watched from corners, their eyes wide with something between fear and wonder. Instructors paused mid-lecture when she entered rooms. Even the station's maintenance drones seemed to give her a wider berth. But Lily felt none of the pride others assumed she must feel. She only felt tired and strangely hollow, as if she had opened a door she was not ready to walk through. 3 days passed without word from Commander Alara Voss. Lily returned to drills, but the simulations felt dull now, like child's play after tasting real fire. She moved through routines on autopilot, her mind elsewhere, on the dragon's golden eyes, on the weight of that blue flame, on the way her grandmother's old lullaby had echoed in the black stone chamber. Then, on the 4th evening, a message arrived, not on her comms pad, not through academy channels. It came as a folded slip of real paper, slipped under her door. The script was elegant, sharp, written in deep violet ink. It read only, "Come to Bay 7. Dusk cycle, alone." Lily knew better than to ask why. She washed her face, straightened her uniform, and walked through the quiet corridors of Ceres Station as the artificial sun dimmed to twilight hues. Bay 7 was not part of the academy. It was a private docking arm, reserved for high-ranking officers and diplomatic vessels. As she approached, the air grew cooler, scented with ozone and something faintly metallic, like old coins and rain. The bay doors slid open without sound. Inside, moored like a sleeping leviathan, rested a sleek cruiser shaped like a curved blade. Its hull was dark gray, etched with silver glyphs that shimmered when light touched them. This was the Duskthorn, Alara's personal ship, rarely seen outside Dominion space. A ramp lowered. No guards stood watch. No voices called out. Lily climbed inside. The ship was quiet. Walls glowed softly with embedded bioluminescent veins. The floor was smooth stone, not metal, and warm underfoot. She followed a narrow corridor that spiraled upward, past chambers sealed by translucent doors, until she reached a circular room at the ship's heart. Alara stood by a wide viewport watching the distant swirl of a nebula. Kalen lay coiled on a raised dais nearby, his scales catching the starlight like scattered ink. He lifted his head as Lily entered but made no sound. "You came," Alara said, not turning. "You asked?" Lily replied. Alara finally faced her. Her silver eyes held no anger now, only a deep, weary curiosity. Most would have refused, or brought weapons, or friends. "I brought nothing but myself," Lily said. "That is why you are here." Alara gestured to the center of the room. A low table floated there, holding a single object. A curved shard of black eggshell nearly identical to the one Lily kept hidden in her bunk. But this one pulsed faintly as if breathing. "Do you know what this is?" Alara asked. "It is a dragon eggshell," Lily said. "Not just any egg," Alara said. "The last of the Skyfire line. Kalen's bloodline. Centuries ago, before your world even dreamed of stars, our people shared a bond with humans. Not all humans. Only a few families chosen for their stillness, their song, their respect for silence. They were called the Whisperers. They could calm dragons, heal their wounds, even share dreams with them." Lily's heart beat faster. "My grandmother spoke of them. She was right to," Alara said. "But the bond was broken. Not by war. Not by accident. By betrayal. A human expedition, led by a man named Drake Holloway, came to our world under the flag of peace. They were welcomed. They were taught. They were trusted. And then they stole the last Skyfire egg." Lily's breath caught. "I never heard that part." "History is written by those who survive," Alara said. Holloway vanished. The egg was lost. The Dominion closed its borders. Dragons stopped answering human calls. "Kalen is the last, and he has not bowed to anyone but me until you." She walked closer. "When you sang in the arena, it was not just any song. It was the first verse of the binding lullaby, the one only Whisperers knew. How did you learn it?" "My grandmother found fragments of it on an old data crystal," Lily said. "She spent 30 years piecing it together. She believed the bond could be restored. She gave me the eggshell she found, the one I carry, and taught me the rhythm of the breath, the shape of the words." Alara looked at Kalen. The dragon exhaled slowly, his eyes fixed on Lily. "He recognized you," Alara said. "Not your face, not your species, your echo, the part of you that still carries the old promise." Lily stepped forward. "I did not come here to claim anything. I only wanted to understand why he stopped." "Because you did not command," Alara said. "You asked. You offered yourself, not your weapon. That is how the bond begins." For a long moment, neither spoke. Outside, stars blinked in the endless dark. Then Alara turned to a wall panel and touched a sequence of glyphs. The room shifted. Holograms rose from the floor. Images of ancient temples, star maps, battlefields littered with broken ships. One image showed a human woman in simple robes standing beside a dragon twice her size, their hands and claws touching. "This is what we lost," Alara said. "Not just allies, kin." Lily looked at the images, then at Kalen. "Can it be rebuilt only if the theft is undone?" Alara said. "Only if the egg's spirit is returned." "But the egg is gone," Lily said. "Not entirely," Alara said. She reached into a hidden compartment and pulled out a small glowing orb, no larger than a fist. Inside swirled mist and light. "This is the memory core of the egg. It holds its essence. Your grandmother's shard is a key. Together they can awaken something in Kalen, something dormant." Lily's hands trembled. "What must I do?" "Nothing forced," Alara said. "Only what feels true. If you are not a Whisperer, the core will reject you. If you are, Kalen will choose." She placed the orb on the table. Then she stepped back, giving Lily space. Lily approached slowly. She pulled her own shard from her pocket. As she neared the orb, it brightened. The shard grew warm. She placed it beside the core. Light flared. Kalen rose to his feet, his wings half spreading. A low hum filled the room, vibrating in Lily's bones. The orb opened like a flower. releasing threads of silver mist that curled around Lily's arms, her neck, her heart. She did not pull away. She breathed with the rhythm her grandmother taught her. The mist entered her. For a heartbeat, she saw flashes, dragons soaring over green mountains, humans singing under twin moons, hands and claws clasped in oath. Then it faded. Kalen stepped forward. He lowered his head until his snout touched her chest, right over her heart. He stayed there, motionless. Alara's voice was barely a whisper. "He has accepted your echo." Lily closed her eyes. Tears fell, but she did not wipe them away. "Why tell me this now?" she asked. "Because the Void Reapers are coming," Alara said. Lily looked up. "Who, a fleet of scavengers," Alara said. "They hunt rare life forms. They drain bioessences. They seek power, not peace. And they have heard rumors of a human who tamed a Dominion dragon. They will come for you. For him. For the core." "How do you know their scouts have already breached the outer rim?" Alara said. "Ceres Station is not ready. The academy is a school, not a fortress. If they attack, many will die." Lily thought of her fellow cadets, the Varelian girl who shared her rations, the Crothan boy who laughed too loud, the Zenthite twins who practiced moves in the gym long after lights out. They were not soldiers yet. "Not really? What can we do?" she asked. "Train," Alara said. "Not as cadet and commander. As partners. You and I, and Kalen. We have 3 days before the Reapers reach this system. In that time, you will learn what the Whisperers knew. Not just songs, but how to fight with a dragon at your side." Lily nodded. "I am ready." Alara studied her. "This will hurt. It will test you in ways the arena never could." "I know," Lily said. "And if you fail, then I fail with honor," Lily said. For the first time, something like respect flickered in Alara's eyes. She turned and walked to a hidden panel. It slid open, revealing a training chamber beyond. Walls lined with energy fields, gravity simulators, and ancient Dominion weapons. "Then we begin now," she said. Kalen followed them, his presence like a storm held in check. As Lily stepped into the chamber, she felt fear, but also something else. Purpose. Clarity. The kind her grandmother had spoken of but never lived to see. The first lesson was silence. Not the absence of sound, but the presence of focus. Alara taught her to move without thought, to breathe with the rhythm of the ship, to listen not with ears but with skin. Kalen watched, sometimes circling, sometimes resting his chin on his claws. When Lily stumbled, Alara did not scold. She corrected. When Lily succeeded, she did not praise. She nodded. And Kalen, each time, gave a soft chuff, almost like approval. By the end of the first night, Lily's muscles ached and her mind buzzed with new patterns. But she slept deeply, curled on a mat near Kalen's dais, the dragon's warmth keeping nightmares at bay. The next day, they trained in combat sync. Alara showed her how to read Kalen's movements. The flick of his tail, the shift of his wings, the flare of his nostrils. Each meant something. A warning. An opening. A call to act. Lily learned to roll under his wing sweep, to leap onto his back during a charge, to throw a pulse charge just as he exhaled flame, doubling its range. It was not graceful at first. She fell often, burned her hands, twisted her ankle. But each time she rose, Kalen never struck her, never snapped. He waited, watched, guided. The alarm came not with sound, but with light. Deep red pulses swept through the corridors of Ceres Station, silent and urgent. Every screen flickered with the same symbol, a broken circle, the Reaper mark. They were here. Earlier than expected, the outer defense grid had fallen in minutes. Now their ships drifted like ghosts through the debris field. Black and jagged, shaped like broken teeth, Lily stood in the training chamber of the Duskthorn, the silver circlet still on her brow. She felt the station's panic like a wave, sharp, chaotic, drowning. Beside her, Kalen lifted his head, his golden eyes narrowing. Alara entered without a word, already armored in dark, flexible plating etched with Dominion runes. Her pulse blades hummed at her hips. "They bypassed Sector 9, she said. "They are not here for supplies. They are here for him." Lily knew who she meant. The Reapers had long hunted rare biosignatures, especially those tied to ancient lineages. Kalen's life force was a beacon to them, and now, with Lily's bond to him, her own signal had grown brighter. "What is their plan?" Lily asked. "They will flood the station with hunter units," Alara said. "Small, fast, relentless. They will disable power, Cut comms, isolate sections, then their leader will come. They always send the leader when the prize is great. Who leads them? Alara's voice grew colder. A machine that was once alive. They call it the Hollow Core. It was built from the remains of a corrupted dragon, a skyfire who turned on his own kind during the last war. The Reapers fused his mind with an AI, twisted it with pain and hunger. Now it seeks others of its bloodline to consume, to replace what it lost. Lily's stomach tightened. It will come for Kalen, and for you, Alara said. It will know you carry the echo. Kalen growled low, a sound like stone grinding under pressure. We cannot stay here, Lily said. We do not have to, Alara replied. The Academy's command center is in the central spire. If we can reach it, we can activate the emergency lockdown and reroute power to the shield generators. But the path is already compromised. Then we fight through, Lily said. Alara looked at her, then at Kalen. This is not a drill. If you fall, there will be no med bay. No second chance. I know, Lily said. Alara nodded. Then move like you mean it. They left the Duskthorn through a hidden hatch that opened into a maintenance tunnel beneath the Academy's main deck. The air was thick with smoke and the acrid smell of burnt wiring. Distant explosions rattled the walls. Somewhere a fire suppression system hissed. They moved fast. Kalen led, his claws silent on the metal grating. His senses were sharper than any scanner. He could smell Reaper oil, hear the whine of their joints before they appeared. Twice he stopped, tail raised. Alara signaled for silence. Lily held her breath. The first group of hunters came around a bend, 3 of them spider-like with too many limbs and glowing red eyes. They moved in perfect sync, scanning the corridor with energy probes. Kalen struck without warning. One moment he was still. The next he was a blur of black scales and fire. His tail smashed the first hunter into the wall. His jaws crushed the second. The third fired a plasma bolt, but Lily was already moving. She rolled under the shot, came up and drove her pulse blade into the machine's core. It sparked and collapsed. Good, Alara said, already moving forward. They reached Junction Alpha, a wide cross hall that led to the central spire. But the path was blocked by a collapsed ceiling and a squad of Reaper hunters. 6 this time, larger, armed with sonic disruptors. We cannot go around, Alara said. This is the only route. Lily looked at Kalen. He looked back. Something passed between them. Not words, but understanding. Cover me, she said. Before Alara could respond, Lily sprinted into the open. The hunters turned, weapons rising. But Lily did not charge them. She ran toward the rubble pile, leapt, and used the momentum to flip onto a dangling conduit. She swung across the gap, landing behind the hunters. They whirled, confused by the unexpected angle. That was all Kalen needed. He burst from the side tunnel, roaring fire that melted 2 hunters instantly. Alara followed, blades flashing, cutting through joints and sensors with surgical precision. Lily dropped from above, landing on the last hunter's back. She jammed her blade into its neck joint and twisted. It shrieked and fell. Silence returned, broken only by the crackle of dying circuits. You took a risk, Alara said, wiping soot from her face. It worked, Lily replied. Alara almost smiled. Almost they pressed on. The central spire loomed ahead, its tower rising through the heart of the station. But as they neared the entrance, the lights died. Gravity flickered, and from the shadows above, something dropped. It was not a hunter. It was larger, smoother, shaped like a dragon, but wrong. Its scales were dull gray, its wings torn and wired with metal. Its eyes glowed not with gold, but with cold electric blue. The Hollow Core. It landed between them and the spire door, its head tilting slowly. A voice came from it, not from a mouth, but from a speaker embedded in its chest. Distorted, layered, full of static and sorrow. Little echo, it said. You carry what was stolen. Lily froze. The voice was not just machine. It held pain. Memory. You were once Skyfire, Alara said, stepping forward, blades ready. You chose betrayal. I was broken, the Hollow Core replied. They took my bond, my name, my song. Now I take others so I'm not alone in the silence, Kalen growled, smoke curling from his nostrils. You will not have him, Alara said. Not him, the Hollow Core said, its blue eyes locking onto Lily. Her blood sings with the old promise. If I take her essence, I can rebuild what was lost. I can be whole again. It lunged. Kalen met it midair. The 2 dragons crashed into the wall, shaking the corridor. Fire met frost. Kalen's blue flame against the Hollow Core's icy breath. Alara darted in, slashing at joints, but the corrupted dragon was faster, stronger, fueled by desperation. Lily saw her chance. She ran not away but toward the spire door. If she could reach the control panel inside, she could seal the entrance, trap the hollow core outside. But the machine saw her. It broke free from Kalen and shot after her, claws scraping metal. Lily dove through the doorway just as the hollow core's claw swiped at her back. She felt the tear, the burn, but kept moving. She slammed her palm on the access panel. The door began to close. The hollow core thrust its arm through the narrowing gap. Its fingers wrapped around Lily's ankle. She fell, but she did not let go of the panel. With her free hand, she activated the emergency protocol her grandmother had once described. A failsafe built into old Dominion systems. It required a biosignature and a spoken key. Lily gasped the first line of the lullaby. Light flared from the panel. The door sealed with a final hiss, severing the hollow core's arm. Black fluid oozed from the stump as the machine howled in rage outside. Inside, Lily lay on the floor bleeding, breathing hard. Alarms blared. The control room was empty, abandoned in the chaos. She dragged herself to the main console. Alara's voice came through her earpiece, strained. "Lily, status," inside Lily said. "Door sealed, but it will not hold long. Activate the resonance shield," Alara said. "It is the only thing that can repel the hollow core, but it requires a living skyfire bond to power it." Lily understood. She pulled the silver circlet tighter and placed her hand on the console's central node. Then she closed her eyes and reached, not with her body but with the echo inside her. She called to Kalen, not with words. With feeling, with memory, with the warmth of his side against hers, the trust in his eyes, the rhythm of their shared breath. Outside, Kalen roared, not in anger, but in answer. Energy surged through the console. The walls of the spire glowed. A dome of silver light expanded from the tower, washing over the station. Where it touched Reaper hunters, they froze, then shattered. The hollow core staggered back, hissing, its blue eyes dimming, but the shield flickered. It was too much for Lily alone. Then a hand touched her shoulder. Alara stood beside her, blood on her face, but steady. She placed her own hand on the console. "We do this together," she said. Kalen's presence joined them, not physically, but in spirit through the bond. The shield blazed brighter, solidifying into a wall of pure resonance. The hollow core let out a final, broken cry before retreating into the shadows. Silence fell over the station. Lily slumped, exhausted. Alara caught her before she hit the floor. "You did it," Alara said. "We did it," Lily whispered. But even as the immediate threat faded, they both knew the battle was not over. The hollow core would return. The Reapers would regroup. And the truth Lily now carried, the truth of the stolen bond, the lost whisperers. The echo in her blood was more dangerous than any weapon. Yet in that moment, with Kalen's warmth returning through the bond and Alara's hand still on her shoulder, Lily felt something she had not felt since arriving at Ceres Station. She felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be. The silence after the shield rose was not peace. It was the quiet before the storm gathered its breath. Lily sat on the floor of the command center, her back against the console, a med patch sealing the gash on her shoulder. Alara stood at the main viewport, watching the Reaper fleet drift just beyond the silver dome of the resonance shield. Their ships hung like dead stars waiting. Kalen rested outside the sealed door, his massive form curled around the entrance like a living lock. His eyes were closed, but his sides rose and fell with slow, steady breaths. He was healing too. The fight had cost him. A deep burn ran along his left flank, and one of his wing membranes was torn, yet he did not sleep. He listened. Inside, the station's systems flickered back to life in pieces. Lights returned. Comms crackled with distant voices. Cadets, instructors, medics calling out, counting losses, trying to hold the academy together. Over 300 Reaper hunters had been destroyed, but the station's outer sectors were in ruins. Power was unstable. Oxygen levels dropped in sections 7 through 12, and the central spire, though safe for now, was cut off from the rest of Ceres. "They are not leaving," Alara said, her voice low. "They are waiting for the shield to weaken." "How long will it last?" Lily asked. "Not long," Alara replied. "The resonance shield was never meant to be held by two people and a bond still forming. It drains life force, not just energy." "You are already pale." Lily touched her face. Her skin felt cold. "I can hold it." "Not alone," Alara said. "And not forever." They both knew what came next. The hollow core would not attack blindly again. It would study. It would plan. And when it struck, it would strike where they were weakest, not the shield but the bond itself. As if hearing the thought, Kalen lifted his head. A low hum vibrated in his chest. Not a warning. A question. Lily rose slowly, wincing. We need to finish this. Not by hiding. By facing it, Alara turned. You cannot fight the hollow core directly. It is stronger, faster, and it knows every weakness of the Skyfire line. Then we do not fight like Skyfire, Lily said. We fight like humans. Alara raised an eyebrow. What does that mean? We use what it does not expect, Lily said. Not strength. Not fire. Memory. She walked to the console and pulled up an old file, her grandmother's final research log. It was encrypted, but the circlet on her brow unlocked it. The screen filled with star maps, voice fragments, and one clear image, the ruins of a temple on a dead moon near Proxima. That was where the eggshell had been found, and where, according to legend, the last true binding had taken place. The hollow core was once a dragon, Lily said. It remembers being whole. If we can reach that memory, we can reach the being beneath the machine. Alara studied the image. You want to use the lullaby? Not as defense. As weapon. As truth, Lily said. Alara was silent for a long time. Then she nodded. There is a chamber beneath this spire. The Heartstone Vault. It was built to amplify Dominion songs during the old wars. If you sing there, the entire station will hear it. Even the hollow core. Then that is where we go, Lily said. They moved quickly. Alara sealed the command center behind them and led Lily down a narrow stairwell that spiraled deep into the station's foundation. The air grew cooler, heavier, filled with the scent of ancient stone. The walls here were not metal but carved rock, covered in faded glyphs that glowed faintly when Lily passed. At the bottom lay a circular chamber, its ceiling lost in shadow. In the center stood a pedestal of black crystal, humming with soft energy. This was the Heartstone. Stand on it, Alara said. The moment you begin, the hollow core will know. It will come. And it will bring everything. Lily stepped onto the pedestal. The stone warmed under her feet. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath, finding the rhythm her grandmother had taught her. The circlet on her brow pulsed gently. Above, the station trembled. Alarms blared anew. The Reaper fleet surged forward, firing everything they had at the shield. It held, but cracks of silver light began to spiderweb across its surface. Kalen roared from the corridor, answering the call. His fire lit the halls as he met the next wave of hunters, not to kill, but to delay. To buy time. Alara stood at the chamber's entrance, blades ready. Sing, she said. Lily began. Not with words first. With breath. Slow, deep, steady. Then came the first note. A low hum that vibrated through the stone, up the walls, into the bones of the station itself. It was not loud, but it was everywhere. Outside, the hollow core paused. Its blue eyes flickered. For a heartbeat, the machine stilled. Memories surged through it. Green skies, warm winds, a human hand resting on its snout, a voice singing under twin moons. It remembered being loved, being whole. Pain followed. Betrayal. The cold grip of Reaper tools, the tearing of bond from soul, the endless hunger that replaced song. It screamed, a sound of rage and grief, and charged toward the spire. Lily did not stop. She sang the second verse, the one about returning, about forgiveness, about the egg that was lost but not forgotten. The Heartstone glowed brighter, amplifying her voice until it filled every corridor, every room, every mind on the station. Cadets dropped their weapons. Reaper hunters froze mid-step. Even the distant stars seemed to lean closer. The hollow core reached the chamber door. Alara met it, blades flashing. She fought not to win, but to hold it back for just a few more seconds. The corrupted dragon swiped at her, knocking her against the wall. She fell, blood on her lips, but her eyes stayed on Lily. Lily sang the third verse, the binding, the promise, the part where human and dragon chose each other, not by blood but by will. The hollow core stepped into the chamber. It loomed over Lily, claws raised, mouth open to unleash its icy breath. But it did not strike. It looked at her, really looked. And in her eyes, it saw not a threat, not a prize, but a reflection of what it once was. Lily opened her eyes. She stopped singing. She held out her hand, not in defense, but in offering. You do not have to be alone, she said. The hollow core trembled. Its blue eyes dimmed. The machine parts on its body sparked and fell away piece by piece. Beneath the metal, scales returned, faint, cracked, but real. The dragon within was waking. Then, with a final shudder, it collapsed, not in death but in release. The AI core shattered, dissolving into light. What remained was a small, broken form, a dragon no larger than a dog, its scales dull, its wings folded tight. It looked up at Lily with eyes that were no longer blue but gold. Kalen entered the chamber slowly. He approached the small dragon and lowered his head. A soft chuff escaped him. The small one responded with a weak nudge. The bond was not restored, but it was begun. Elara rose, leaning against the wall. "You did not fight it," she said. "You remembered it." Lily stepped down from the pedestal, her legs weak. It was never the enemy. It was just lost. Outside, the Reaper fleet drifted aimlessly. Without the Hollow Core's command, their systems shut down. They became silent hulks floating in the dark. The resonance shield faded, but no one attacked. The battle was over. Med teams arrived soon after, followed by Academy Command. They found Lily kneeling beside the small dragon, her hand resting gently on its back. Elara stood nearby, watching. Kalen lay at the entrance, guarding them both. In the days that followed, the station began to heal. Repairs started. Cadets returned to their duties. But everything had changed. Humans were no longer seen as outsiders. Lily Tran was spoken of in whispers, not as a cadet but as the echo who brought a lost dragon home. Elara visited her every evening. They did not speak much. They did not need to. They sat together in the Heartstone chamber, watching the small dragon sleep. Kalen curled around them like a shield made of shadow and fire. Lily knew the war was not truly over. The Reapers would return. Other threats waited in the dark. But for now, in this quiet space, something new had been born, not just between species but between souls. And that, she thought, was worth every scar. Weeks passed. Ceres Station no longer felt like a fortress of strangers. It felt like a home stitched back together with quiet courage and shared silence. The scars of battle remained, melted bulkheads, patched corridors, memorial plaques for those lost. But life returned, stronger for having been tested. And at the center of it all stood Lily Tran, not as a hero, but as a bridge. The Academy Council summoned her to the High Chamber, a room of polished stone and starlight windows. They offered her a command rank, first human ever to be granted such honor. They spoke of fleets, of diplomacy, of leading Earth's next generation among the stars. Lily listened politely. Then she declined. "I am not a commander," she said. "I am a listener, a learner. And right now there is still much to learn." The council exchanged glances. They did not understand. But Elara, standing at the back of the room, did. She gave the smallest nod. Instead, Lily asked for something else, a new role. Liaison between Earth and the Veiled Dominion. Not as a soldier, not as a diplomat, but as a keeper of the Echo. The council agreed, though none knew what it truly meant, except Elara and the two dragons who now shared the Duskthorn's inner sanctum. The small dragon, whom Lily named Ember, grew stronger each day. Its scales regained their luster, shifting from dull gray to soft bronze. It could not fly yet, but it followed Lily everywhere, curling around her feet during meals, resting its head on her lap during quiet hours. Kalen watched over both of them with patient eyes, his presence a constant hum of warmth and protection. Elara spent less time on the command deck and more in the ship's ancient library, translating old texts with Lily. Together, they pieced together the full lullaby, the verses lost to time, the promises broken, the paths back to balance. They discovered that the whisperers had not vanished. They had gone quiet, waiting for the right echo to return. One morning, as the station cycled into dawnlight, Lily stood on the observation deck, watching Ember try to mimic Kalen's wing stretches. Elara joined her, holding 2 cups of steaming root tea, a Dominion custom Lily had come to love. "They are calling you again," Elara said. "Earth Command. They want you to return, to speak, to show what humans can become." "And what do you want me to do?" Lily asked. Elara looked at her, silver eyes calm. "I want you to choose. Not as a cadet. Not as a symbol. As yourself." Lily smiled faintly. "Then I stay for now. There is still work here. Ember is not ready to face the Dominion elders, and the bond between us, it is still young. Like a seedling. It needs time." Elara nodded. "Good." They stood in silence, watching the dragons play in the low gravity of the hangar below. Ember leapt, flapping clumsily, and Kalen caught her midair with one careful wing, setting her down gently. It was not dominance. It was care. That afternoon, a new group of cadets arrived. Younger, greener, wide-eyed with the weight of expectation. Among them was a human boy, barely 16, trembling during his first drill. He froze during a simulation, just as Lily once had. The alien instructor, a stern Varelian, stepped forward to scold him. Before he could speak, Ilara appeared at the edge of the field. She did not raise her voice. She simply looked at Lily, who stood nearby observing. Lily walked onto the field. The cadets parted for her without a word. She stopped in front of the boy, who could not meet her eyes. "What is your name?" she asked. "Milo," he whispered. "Look at me, Milo." He did. His eyes were full of fear. "You did not fail," Lily said. "You paused." "There is a difference." Pausing means you are thinking, feeling. That is not weakness. It is what makes us more than machines. She turned to the instructor. "Give him another chance. Not with fire, with trust." The Varelian hesitated, then nodded. Lily stepped back. But before she left, she placed a hand on Milo's shoulder. "Breathe like the tide," she said softly. "In, out, steady, you are not alone." The boy blinked. Then he stood a little taller. From the balcony, Ilara watched. Kalen lay beside her, his tail curling once in approval. Ember slept in a sunbeam nearby, curled like a bronze leaf. In that moment, Ilara understood. Lily was not rebuilding the old bond. She was weaving a new one, not just with dragons, but with every being who had been told they were too soft, too slow, too human to belong among the stars. Days turned into cycles. Lily taught not with lectures, but with presence. She showed cadets how to listen before they acted, how to move with the rhythm of their surroundings, how to find strength in stillness. Even the toughest Crothan began to slow their charges. Even the proudest Varelians learned to wait. And when the Dominion elders finally sent a message, formal, cautious, demanding proof of the restored bond, Ilara did not send data or recordings. She sent Lily and Ember aboard a small envoy ship, with Kalen as escort. They traveled to the veiled Dominion's heartworld, a planet wrapped in eternal twilight, where trees grew taller than stations and rivers sang in harmonic tones. The elders waited in a stone circle older than most species. They did not speak. They watched. Lily did not perform. She simply sat beside Ember and began to hum, the first note of the lullaby. Ember leaned into her. Kalen lowered his head, and from the trees other dragons emerged, silent, watchful, ancient. One by one they bowed. The elders said nothing, but they opened the archives. The path was clear. On the return journey, Lily stood at the ship's bow, staring into the starfield. Ilara joined her. "What now?" Ilara asked. "Now we teach," Lily said. "Not just cadets. Not just humans. Everyone who is willing to listen." "It will take lifetimes," Ilara said. "Then we start with one breath," Lily replied. Back at Ceres Station, life continued. Drills resumed. Lessons deepened. And whenever a new cadet hesitated, Ilara no longer scolded. She simply nodded toward Lily. And Lily, calm as starlight, stepped forward. Not to command, but to guide. The silence she once carried was no longer empty. It was